Good evening. Can we get a sound check on the French channel?
Yeah, yeah. Test. Guess I can- Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll call the meeting to order, the regular City Council meeting of August 10th, and welcome to those that are watching via technology or via Rogers Cable 10 at home. We'll begin with a poem from our poet laureate, Jenna Lynn Albert.
Thank you, Your Worship. This evening I'm reading a poem by Tracy Finley. She's the author of Splitting Off, History's on Us, and the chapbook Phobic. Her writing has also appeared in various periodicals and anthologies, including Arc Poetry Magazine, Breathing Fire 2, Canada's New Poets, Contemporary Verse 2, the Malahat Review, and University of Toronto Quarterly. She lives in Fredericton, where she teaches English and creative writing at the University of New Brunswick. The poem is called Phobic. How to not be obsessed with progress. The fear of panic for no precise reason, or the mind's inability to process concepts simple as panic. Think of the son who built bridges but dreamt of swallowing the sea, whose motor skills crumbled, whose heart lost pace. His hands are my hands. Of the gaps between what really happens and what to grasp from gaps between what really happened. Or his mother, so blue she went to bed one night and stayed there, a ghost quartet of clever boys settled on the stairs. Said goodnight and meant it. Good night for 17 years and off to a leveled life in Montreal. Her mouth so perfect in portraits, her spellbound eyes. The fear of ghosts, of the tiniest bits of nothing, of dead skin still attached to a breathing body. Of the train that went by, but you can't tell which way from looking at the tracks. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna Lynn. Before we call the meeting to approve the agenda, today, as you know, is August the 10th. It's the somber second anniversary of a tragic event that happened in 2018, where we lost two of our police officers and two civilians. And this morning, the police force had a very small, somber remembrance ceremony, and I represented council at that. But yesterday, they had another ceremony, and I'd like to ask Deputy Chief Cadet if he could speak to the moment and the anniversary and what transpired over the last few days. Deputy Chief.
Thank you, Your Worship. So as you mentioned, we've established a wall headquarters, and that's to remember our three officers that have been killed. Curly Calhoun, who was killed in 1981 in York Street Police Station during a training, and of course, Constable Rob Costello, Sarah Burns, 2 years ago. So on Sunday, families had the opportunity to attend the police in individual group, have a look at the honor wall, and then it was very well received. We wanted to do that where the honor wall open to the public, and as you mentioned this morning, we had small with staff. There have been about 40 people in the lobby, and so it was a difficult day. But a lot here with the support of the community, well wishes, tokens of appreciation today. And generally speaking, it was a day to remember, pause, and to move forward. So thank you very much once again from the police service to the community for their support, and of course to you and their government for their ongoing support.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. Yes, it's a somber day, and but as the chief mentioned this morning, it was a turning point for the community. It was a very sad and tragic day, but it was also a time where our city came together like perhaps never before, and rallied around the officers and the civilians. The staff came together as a tighter unit. And the community came together. So that's, there was some very appropriate words by the chief this morning and by the chaplain, Werner Drost. So we do wish to thank the community for the thoughts that they've expressed today on behalf of the fallen, and remind everybody that our first responders and our police force are out there every day to serve and protect. And they are pros at it, And but it's been a tough day for everybody. So we will never forget them. City Clerk.
Thank you.
Yes, City Clerk, approval of agenda.
Thank you, Worship. We're just going to remove item 9.1, Standing Committee Update.
Okay. So moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Malay, that the agenda be approved as submitted. On the question, all those in favor? Against? The motion is carried. Does anybody have a conflict of interest to declare on any of the items tonight? Being none, we'll carry on. The consent agenda has 8 items on it this evening, things that have been discussed before or very routine in nature. Does anybody have anything they wish to speak to any of the items? No? Okay, then we'll move by Council. Oh, sorry, did I miss somebody? Oh, over there. Oh, sorry, Councillor Keenan, I apologize. No.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just on the Universal Bus Pass, just
Yes.
wanted to make note that the Universal Bus Pass between the City of Fredericton and College of Craft and Design Student Association has been extended for another year. By all accounts, it's a successful program and is good both for the transit services and for the students. So although this is a different year and there won't be as many UNB students attending classes, there's still lots of them in the city. Many of them are still coming in. So I would once again say to the UNB student faculty that it's time to reconsider their participation in our Universal Bus Pass. It will, give us the opportunity to have more funding for the service and improve services. So hopefully that's something that they might try to address.
Thank you. Anybody else? No? So that would be moved by Councillor Price and seconded by Councillor McGarity that the consent agenda be approved. Just a second, we have a technical glitch. It's making me. And we're set again. So moved by Councillor Price, seconded by Councillor McGarity, the consent agenda be approved. All those in favor? Against? The motion is carried. We'll move on to item 6, the approval of minutes for the regular City Council meetings of June the 8th and June the 22nd. That'd be moved by Councillor Grandy, seconded by Councillor Keenan. On the question? All those in favor of the motion? Those against? The motion is carried. First and second reading of bylaws. Bylaws 7.1, L11-170, stop up and close part of Beaverbrook Street, and 1170, that's just a duplication, isn't it? Duplicate, oh, okay. So who is the councillor for that area? That would be Councillor Rogers. So that would be moved by Councillor Rogers. Councillor Rogers, you take us through that? Oh, maybe your audio is not working very well.
No, I think here.
Okay, we'll take it. Councillor Millet, you take that?
Thank you, Your Worship. Be it resolved that bylaw number L11.170, a bylaw to stop up and close a portion of Beaverbrook Street, be given first reading by title.
That'd be seconded by Councillor Rogers. On the question? All those in favor of the motion? Those against? The motion is carried.
Be it resolved that bylaw number L-11.170, a bylaw to stop up and close the portion of Beaverbrook Street, be given second reading by title.
Seconded by Councillor Rogers. On the question. All those in favor of the motion? Those against? The motion is carried. Third reading of bylaws. We've removed 8.1. So 8.2, bylaw T1107, reinstate 2-way traffic on Carlton Street parking.
No, you remove
9.1, sorry. Okay, 8.1, code of conduct, A22, Councillor McDermott.
Thanks, Your Worship. Be it resolved that bylaw number 822, a bylaw establishing a code of conduct for members of City Council of the City of Fredericton be read by summary pursuant to Section 15, subsection 3 of the Local Governance Act.
Be seconded by Councillor Peters. On the question. All those in favor of the motion? Those against? Motion is carried. Carry on.
It's a long one. Thanks, Your Worship. Whereas local governments are authorized and required to enact a bylaw establishing a code of conduct for members of council prescribed by regulation, and whereas New Brunswick Regulation 2018-64 under the Local Governance Act prescribes that the following matters be included in a code of conduct. A, the values of which members of council are expected to adhere. B, the behavior by the members of council towards other members of council, officers, employees, and residents of the local government, including provisions respecting bullying, discrimination, or harassment by members of council. C, the use of local government property, resources, and services by members of council. And D, the use of communications tools and social media by members of council. And whereas it is recognized that responsible conduct is essential to providing good governance for the City of Fredericton as the local government, and whereas the establishment of a code of conduct for members of council is consistent with the principles of transparent and accountable government, and whereas the adoption of a code of conduct establishes a common understanding and shared expectations for how members of council should conduct themselves individually while carrying out their responsibilities and as a collective decision-making body. Now, therefore, be it enacted by the Council of the City of Fredericton and pursuant to the authority vested in it by the Local Governance Act, SMB 2017, Chapter 18 is amended, adopts rules in the form of code of conduct bylaw for elected officials as follows. The purpose of proposed bylaw number 822 is to establish a code of conduct for members of City Council for the City of Fredericton, and be it resolved that bylaw number 822, a bylaw establishing a code of conduct for members of City Council of the City of Fredericton, be given third reading by title.
Seconded by Councillor Peters. On the question. Councillor Keenan.
Yeah, thanks, Your Worship. Just wanted to make a comment on this. I did receive concern from a resident, primarily around the fact that there wasn't a public consultation on this particular bylaw, and I'll speak to that in a minute. And also the process that we've established for addressing complaints that are received via mayor and council ultimately to determine the validity of those complaints and any redress for them for most of the complaints that we will receive. So in regards to the public consultation and really about how we're going to process this, and I'll look to perhaps Councillor McDermott, who kind of led us through this process, if he has any comments after. But you know, my understanding is that the purpose of this process and this bylaw is to ensure that we conduct ourselves in an appropriate manner in our dealings with other council members and staff and the public. But it's meant as a guide for us to govern our own conduct within our council. So I think that Councillor McDermott and who is the other member of the group?
Councillor Peters.
Peters, yeah. He kept talking about it, so I didn't know. Yeah. So I think they've done a good job in bringing something forward that captures the essence of that council will be held to standards, and we as a council will determine if those standards have not been met. So I think they've done a good job, and then I'll just see maybe if Councillor McDermott has anything to add, if I may.
Please. Councillor McDermott.
Yep, sure. Thanks, Your Worship, and thanks, Councillor Keenan, for that. Look, I think your points are totally accurate on that. This really is a document and a code of conduct that applies to us. We are the creators of it. We're the enforcers of it, and I think the integrity of our office will be proven by how we do uphold that. You know, one of the questions that has been posed is why are we regulating ourselves internally as opposed to going to a third party? I think a third party is there's absolutely a large amount of room for that, and I think it's worth having that discussion. But ultimately, whatever decision the third party even comes down to is going to be accepted or rejected, for that matter, by council. We're the ultimate, I guess, determiners of whether there's been a violation or not. So look, I think it went through a fairly lengthy process looking at what was done in other jurisdictions, sticking to the requirements of the Local Governance Act as well in terms of ensuring that we meet the provincial legislation, and I feel pretty confident that this actually shows the residents that we take it seriously. We have mechanisms for enforcement. We have mechanisms in case there are violations to sanction individuals on that. And ultimately, the end, it will be how well we manage that ourselves as a council that will prove the value of this code of conduct.
Okay. Good. Councillor Chase.
Yep, thanks, Your Worship. Just a couple of points that I think bear mentioning is, and I think Councillor McDermott alluded to it, but the Local Governance Act specified that there be a code of conduct. And the code of conduct that Fredericton has adopted is a product of, a review of several other, and it is indeed more expansive than the basic code of conduct that the provincial government called for. I'm confident that it will work very well. I welcome a code of conduct. But I do want to make an observation on the 12 years I've been with council that I have not seen anything that, within council that would have crossed the line, outlined in this code of conduct. So I'm confident that this council is doing its business very well, transparently and fairly, and in the best interest of the citizens of Fredericton.
Thank you, Councillor. Anybody else? No? It's been moved and seconded. So all those in favor of the motion, third reading? All those against? The motion is carried. So it's been summed up well here tonight. And so we're meeting a legislative mandate. Could anybody tell me if the provincial government legislature has their own code of conduct? I'm not sure if they do. I assume they do, but we do now anyways. And so it's a great step forward, and look forward to the process. We've laid down a good, robust process, and it's open and transparent as well. And thanks to the people that worked on it, the staff that helped bring stuff together, and the governance committee, and our two representatives here, Councillor McDermott, Councillor Peters. So thanks for your work, everybody. Appreciate it. 8.2 Bylaw T1107, reinstate two-way traffic, Carlton. Councillor Dara.
Thank you, Worship. Be it resolved that bylaw number T-1.107, a bylaw to amend bylaw number T-1, a bylaw to regulate traffic, be read by summary pursuant to section 15, subsection 4 of the Local Governance Act.
That would be seconded by Councillor Rogers. On the question? All those in favor of the motion? Those against? The motion is carried. Carry on.
Whereas municipalities may make bylaws pursuant to the Local Governance Act, now therefore be it enacted by the Council of the City of Fredericton and pursuant to the authority vested in it by Local Governance Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 18, as follows. The purpose of proposed bylaw number T-1.107 is to change Carlton Street between Brunswick Street and King Street to a two-way street effective September 8, 2020. Add parking on a portion of Brunswick Street and allow parking on Carlton Street between Brunswick and King Streets. And be it resolved that bylaw number T-1.107, a bylaw to amend bylaw number T-1, a bylaw to regulate traffic, be given third reading by title.
That be seconded by Councillor Rogers. On the question. All those in favor of the motion? Those against? Motion is carried. 8.3, bylaw T7.34, pay-by-plate station, single meter changes. Transportation Chair, Councillor Dara.
Be it resolved that bylaw number T-7.34, a bylaw to amend bylaw number T-7, a bylaw relating to parking meters, parking zones, and pay and display machines be read by summary pursuant to section 15, subsection 4 of the Local Governance Act.
Seconded by the Deputy Mayor. On the question. All those in favor of the motion? Those against? Motion is carried. Carry on.
Whereas municipalities may make bylaws pursuant to the Local Governance Act, and whereas local governments may make bylaws for municipal proposed respecting, subject to the Motor Vehicle Act, the use of vehicles, streets, and parking. Now, therefore, be it enacted by the Council of the City of Fredericton and pursuant to the authority vested in it by the Local Governance Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 18, as follows. The purpose of proposed bylaw number T-7.34 is to address pay-by-plate pay stations and add 4 new parking meters on the northwest corner of Brunswick Street. And be it resolved that bylaw number T-7.34, a bylaw to amend bylaw number T-7, a bylaw relating to parking meters, parking zones, and pay and display machines be given third reading by title.
Seconded by the Deputy Mayor. On the question. All those in favor of the motion? Those against? Motion is carried. 8.4. And we'll have to ask Councillor Rogers to retire from the meeting. And for people that are listening or watching, that's because if somebody's not present for first and second reading, as we've mentioned many times, they can't participate in the third reading, which is the final vote. So we'll wait till we have confirmation that she is logged off. Okay. So Councillor Erickson, would you take that, please?
Thank you, Worship. I was just waiting to see her name disappear from the overhead. Be it resolved that the terms and conditions be adopted.
Seconded by Councillor Chase. On the question. All those in favor of the motion? Those against? Motion is carried. Carry on.
Be resolved that bylaw number Z-5.196, a bylaw to amend bylaw number Z-5, a zoning bylaw for the City of Fredericton, be read by summary pursuant to section 15 sub 4 of the Local Governance Act.
Seconded by Councillor Chase. On the question. All those in favor of the motion? Those against? Motion is carried.
Whereas municipalities may make bylaws pursuant to the Local Governance Act, now therefore be it enacted by the Council of the City of Fredericton and pursuant to the authority vested in it by Section 10 of the Local Governance Act, SNB 2017, Chapter 18, summarized as follows. Purpose of proposed bylaw number Z-5.196 is to amend bylaw number Z-5 by rezoning the property located at 616 and 620 Forest Hill Road from residential Zone 4, R4, and residential Zone 2, R2 to multi-residential Zone 5, MR5, in order to permit a 56-unit 4-story apartment building, and be it resolved that bylaw number Z-5.196, a bylaw to amend number Z-5, a zoning bylaw for the City of Fredericton, be given third reading by title.
Be seconded by Councillor Chase. On the question. All those in favor of the motion? Those against? Motion is carried. And 9.1 has been withdrawn. And, Kevin, Councillor Derry, I apologize. On the question?
No. Just, we were done with that. I just had a question.
Okay.
Just in regards to the last item and formally how it worked. Councillor Erickson waited for Councillor Rogers to log off. Is that actually needed? Because if this was in the middle of the meeting, we wouldn't ask her to log off and log back on. Shouldn't she just wait, like turn the video off and put the coffee signal on, I believe is what the terminology was at the beginning, and then...
Well, they can't participate in the meeting and be present or listen. So I'll ask the city clerk for the interpretation what we should really do.
Yeah, I guess in this world, the purpose of not being in the meeting is that people don't see your reaction or see anything that's going to indicate or influence the way you vote. So it only requires that she turns off her video, doesn't comment, and whatnot. Doesn't necessarily require her to necessarily leave the meeting.
So that was...
But this is a new world, so...
Yeah. I guess what I guess looking back, I think I said log off. That wasn't my intention, but that's what I did say. So I guess we'll learn that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's why I left him.
Yeah. Okay. Just before we adjourn, I just want to, I think tomorrow, there will be a public call. I think we got a bit of a heads up today. Tomorrow, the communications will be issuing a public call for public art. For the remaining portion of the broccoli tree that was in O'Dell Park. So a call will go out for artists to create a piece of art out of that in place. And so people keep your eyes open for that. And hopefully we get a lot of people participating in the bid on that. So motion to adjourn, that would be Peters and Price. All those in favor? Against? Motion is carried. Oh, okay.
Folks, it's Wayne. I need the following folks to stay on the line.